This is Renata Moreira of our Family Coalition. Welcome to our show, Alphabet Soup with our Family Coalition, Nourishing LGBTQ families one conversation at a time. I'm really excited about today's show. As you all know, this June, marriage equality became the law of the land. We have a very, very special guest today who's going to talk to us about family equality and what's still at stake for LGBTQ families. Well, our guest, she's been at the forefront of family equality movement across the nation and here in California for years. She has been named one of the best LGBTQ lawyers under 40 by the National LGBT Bar Association. She's recently appointed as the new Deputy Director for NCLR. Welcome, Cathy Sakimura, the Family Law Director and Supervising Attorney at National Center for Lesbian Rights. Welcome, Cathy.
Thank you so much, Renata.
It's such a pleasure having you here as we celebrate this incredible moment in our history. And we also celebrate some private wins, I hear. We just heard that you got married.
Yes, thank you.
Do you want to share a couple highlights with us?
Yeah, it was a magical day. We had it out in the Redwoods, and my family came from Hawaii and brought leis back from Hawaii, so it was really beautiful.
Oh, that's wonderful. You know, I'm sorry I wasn't invited or anything, but I guess next time. Oh, I didn't know. Hopefully there will not be next time.
It was very small, but I'm sorry you couldn't be there either. It was so much fun.
Just kidding. So you just got promoted. Congratulations. That's also huge. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means for NCLR and for you?
Yes, thank you. It's really exciting to be moving into this role. I'm going to be managing and overseeing the work of all of our departments. We're really at a size now at the National Center for Lesbian Rights where there's so many people doing different work that we really need some help with coordinating different departments and making sure everyone has the kind of support they need to do their jobs effectively and to really achieve our vision of creating a world where everyone is free from all kinds of oppressions.
Oh, that's brilliant. And I'm sure they're going to be in great hands with you and Kate Kendall. I mean, watch out, world. NCLR is here, and we're very excited to be partners. Before I jump into our conversation, we're going to show a 2-minute video that was created by fabulous summer interns during Decision Day here in San Francisco. So let's check it out.
And did you feel the earth shake this morning? Well, I just wanted to tell you that I don't think it was an earthquake, but I do believe it was the scales of justice tipping, and it was the arc of our history being bent. That's what we felt this morning.
So, what do you think a family is? What's a family to you? What does this decision mean for you and your family?
We just got married today, so it's the beginning of like a bunch of lives apart, and I'm really looking forward to that. For my friends in the LGBT community.
And what further steps do you see?
I feel like the transgender community is getting kind of shorted right now, and hopefully, equality, marriage equality, and like tolerance to kind of expand out.
What does the decision today mean for your family? Or for you guys in general?
For us? What do you think? I think we're going to live in a more just world than we grew up in.
What do you think the next important steps are for the LGBT community?
I think that it seems like definitely gay and lesbian and bisexual people have made huge strides, but the transgender community still has a long way to go.
You're the reason we're standing here. Every sacrifice, and I know, because I know many of you, and I know the stories from across the country, the sacrifices made by so many, the shame and the indignity endured by so many, that is now over, and those relationships matter, and every sacrifice you made has now been vindicated and matters.
All right. So we just heard Kate Kendall talk about every sacrifice we've made has been vindicated, right? So we're done. I think we just worked ourselves out of a job. And is that right, Cathy? Or what's next? What's still at stake for LGBT families?
Yeah, well, of course, this is just such an incredible moment in history where we've achieved marriage equality across the U.S., and it means so much for our families. But as you know, it doesn't solve all of our problems. There are so many needs that families still have, and of course that LGBT people still have, that we have to continue working for. So marriage does a lot to protect our families and give them the kind of dignity that they deserve. But there are so many questions that are still out there for families, because marriage doesn't necessarily mean that parents and their children get the same kind of protections that other families get. So there's a lot of work we need to do to get family equality. We have marriage equality, but there's still a need to make sure that our families are fully protected.
Mm-hmm. And so how do we go about doing that? What are some more specific issues that families have to go through to be able to be recognized as the parent of your own child? Or what are some of those relationships where you might still be in a fragile position?
Yeah, so of course, many LGBT parents are not biologically related to their children, and not every state really fully protects parents who aren't biologically related. And what we need to do is make sure that every state really treats those parents the same as other parents, no matter how you came to have children. So we really have to look at all the different ways that people have children. If they are having children through assisted reproduction, if they're adopting, if they're raising children from their own extended family, all of these ways have to be protected to make sure that every family is going to get the same kind of protection and respect that they need.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. And, we're excited to be partnering with you on a particular bill, AB 960, the Equal Protection for All Families Act. Can you talk to us a little bit about that bill?
Yeah, so California has some protections for families who use assisted reproduction to have children, but unfortunately just doesn't protect all families. So California's law was written some time ago, and it mostly only protects people who use a doctor and try to conceive. But it leaves out the many, many families who conceive with a sperm donor using at-home insemination. And so for those families, they may not really have any protections. And so a big part of what the bill does is protects those families equally. And it also makes sure that unmarried couples have the same protection as married couples. That's another big challenge after marriage equality, is making sure that families who aren't married or who weren't married when they had children still get the same kind of protections that they need.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. We're very excited and looking forward to getting the governor's signature on that bill. And also the Modern Family Act. Really fantastic progress on that front. Can you talk to our audience about it?
Yeah, so that was a bill that was passed last year, and I know, of course, our Family Coalition was a sponsor of that. But that bill made it possible for married couples who had children where one of them wasn't a biological parent to do a confirmatory adoption in a simpler, cheaper way than a regular adoption. Because unfortunately, even with marriage equality, even families who are parents who are married do still need to do an adoption. It feels very unfair that that's still the reality, but until we have that family equality, it's unfortunately what families are going to need to do to protect themselves. So that bill was really important by creating a process that was more affordable and more attainable for families, so they could really achieve that kind of recognition and make sure that when they traveled or if they moved to another state, they were going to still be fully recognized as a family. Right.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that bill is only effective in California, correct?
That's right.
Right. So we're looking at families that still are having to go through really invasive procedures to adopt their own children throughout this country. So it's important for folks to realize that as well. So thank you so much, Cathy, for working on that. You also have you founded a really exciting project called the Family Protection Project. I would love for you to share how it enables low-income families to protect this parent-child relationship.
Yeah, so this was a project that we started back in 2006 when we really realized that although we'd been gaining many protections for families, it actually wasn't really a reality for many families, because really the kinds of protections that were available to people, you had to have an attorney, you had to have some money and know what you needed to do to achieve them. And so what we really wanted to do was put those protections in the hands of low-income families and to make sure that LGBT families of color were able to access those as well. So we worked with legal aid organizations and pro bono attorneys to help them, the people who are already serving low-income families, know what the law is for LGBT families. So that people who are going to get services are able to get competent services from people who understand their families and understand what the law is that could protect them. It's been a really incredible journey over the last 9 years of really seeing a lot of increase in poverty law services. So people serving low-income families really focusing on LGBT families and trying to make sure that those families are getting the same kind of representation.
That's brilliant. We really appreciate NCLR's initiative and your initiative on that front. As we know, our families are in every single economic bracket, in every single race class, class and so on. Well, to wrap up, I'd love to ask if you have any final words of advice for LGBTQ folks that are preparing to start a family.
Yeah, absolutely. Of
like
course.
Some of us.
Yes. I mean, of course, making the decision to have children is one of the most important and biggest decisions you can make in your life. And it's a happy and joyous time. But unfortunately, it's also a time to think about what's going to happen for your children when you have them. And so it's good to think ahead by talking to a lawyer, or if you can't, at least call the National Center for Lesbian Rights and we can give you some free information, because really before you start to try to conceive or before you adopt, it's important to know what legal rights you may need to put in place before you start the process. So it's really good just to take a little time to find out what the law is for you and your situation and know that you can achieve that.
That's fantastic. Great sage words of advice from Cathy Sakimura. Again, thank you so much, Cathy, for being here with us today. Cathy from NCLR, and congratulations again on your marriage. That's it for our show today. We're going to wrap up with a final 2-minute segment called Food for Thought. Today, we'll be featuring our fantastic summer intern, Hali, who's going to be sharing a little bit more about what's at stake for LGBT families. This is Alphabet Soup with our Family Coalition. I'm Renata Moreira.
I'm Heklina. I've been doing drag here in San Francisco for almost 20 years, and over the past couple of months I just opened up my club Oasis. It's been going really well. People really seem to appreciate the space. It's something people say San Francisco really needs right now because the city has been changing a lot. I always had this attitude of opening a space that was kind of like for everybody, and that's just kind of the attitude and the ethics of Oasis. Is it's kind of a space for everybody. How does it feel to be a business owner? I don't know. It's funny because I still have to kind of pinch myself to believe it's actually true. You know what I mean? Like I walk in there and I go up to the bar and I go, oh, could I please have a glass of water? It's kind of like I forget that it's my place. Running gay clubs, it's changed a lot. I think that gay people now, they're everywhere. They don't feel like they have to maybe be in a gay bar all the time, so you have to be much more creative about how you are enticing people to come out to your club. I guess I'm successful because I'll just say it, I work really hard at what I do. I also like to provide a really quality experience for people. So yes, people will pay to see my shows and pay to come to my club, but I always like to give them something that's worth it. The experience that they'll leave my shows going, okay, that was worth it. You know what I mean? That's just always been my attitude. Just to entertain people, and so it seems like that works. I would say to young kids, just kind of form your own identity, and don't let others dictate how you should behave or think. You can always go to sfoasis.com to find out about all the entertainment and nightlife that we have going on at Oasis. If you want to see drag, we've got that for you. If you want to see some queer hip-hop parties or queer dance parties, we have that for you.
Spotlight on success and achievement. Brought to you by Wells Fargo. Together we'll go far.
Hello, my name is Hali Martin, and I'm an intern at Our Family Coalition. And I'm here to talk to you more about what's at stake for our families. 2015 has been a good year for LGBTQ families. The Supreme Court has ruled that marriage is a fundamental right for all, and that marks a momentous step towards equality. Marriage founded on love has been legitimized, but many of us are asking, what's next? Marriage is only one step on the way to equality. When you think about the many systems that LGBTQ families and parents have to navigate, you begin to understand how things are different when you are queer and trying to conceive a family. LGBTQ families often use assisted reproductive technology to have kids, and they must navigate adoption and foster care agencies that may be discriminatory. Currently, Obamacare does not provide coverage or require coverage for assisted reproduction, and many states do not require coverage for fertility treatments. Then, we face far too many cases of LGBTQ parents facing legal discrimination because of their identity, particularly transgender parents involved in custody cases are often faced with humiliating accusations that their transition or their gender identity is harmful for their children and therefore a reason to take away their parental rights. No child should be discriminated against in getting full legal protections with their parent. As we make great strides towards equality, we need to urge our representatives to look at the legislation and change legislation which would change the political landscapes for our families. As Martin Luther King once said, there is an arc, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it urges towards justice. To continue this move towards justice, we must back our actions with words. While marriage equality is now a legal right, there's many states that have implemented initiatives that would curb some of our rights. They undermine the security and stability of loving couples in the guise of religious exemptions and provide no protection for families. We call on you to get more involved and in tune with ourfamily.org to find out more ways you can be a part of advocating for the advancement of all families with children. This is Hali Martin, and this is Food for Thought. Please get more information about Alphabet Soup and many of Our Family Coalition's programs at ourfamily.org. Thank you.